Have you ever played Blox fruits and wondered which fruits are the best for damage, for speed, for grinding, and for PvP? Well, today I'm going to look through every fruit in Blox fruits and find out what's the best for each category. First of all, we're going to find the fruit with the most damage. Now, the most damaging fruit is surprisingly not Venom or Kitsune. Many think it's Magma because of its passive damage. Now, when I first made this video, I thought that the highest damage move would be End of Times from Spirit or some Venom or Kitsune move, but the highest damage move is from Bomb Fruit. Yeah, it turns out there's a move on Bomb called Self-Destruct, and if you charge it down long enough, it'll take away some of your health, but if you hit the move, it does crazy damage. It almost one-shots a max level. Even though it does a lot of damage, it's still a bad move, and it's still on a bad move. Bomb Fruit is a pretty bad fruit, and it's very slow. Which brings us on to our next category, Speed. Now, speed is pretty important in Blox fruits, not just for traversing the world, but also PvP. If you're too slow, you're just going to get comboed. And also, if you're too slow, you're not going to have any chances to heal in battle. There are a few contenders for this. One of them being Light Fruit with its Light Flight, and Portal, which lets you teleport to any island. All of these have weaknesses. For Light Fruit, it's if you take damage, you fly slower, and for Portal is people can just follow your portal. This brings us to Spirit, which has a very unique mechanic. You see, using M1 lets you summon spirits. Some attack, some heal, but one of them lets you go faster. However, these are limited too, as eventually you'll run out of spirits. This brings us to Kitsune. Kitsune is by far the fastest. Kitsune is infinitely faster than any other fruit in the game. At least for now. I think we all know what the best grinding fruit in this game is. Before I say, I'd like to list some honorable mentions. Light for its Logia, Spirit for the M1 passives, and Magma and Venom for damage. And of course, there's Buddha, by far the best grinding fruit. I'm sure we all know why Buddha is the best grinding fruit. It's long reach, you become tankier, you become bigger. Speaking of tankier, what are the tankiest fruits? When I refer to tanky, I mean the amount of damage resistance a fruit has. For example, a fruit like Phoenix when it's transformed has about 15% tankiness. Meanwhile, a fruit like Venom when it's transformed has 50%. Out of all of this, Dragon has the most tankiness, at about 60%. Being tanky helps when you get hit by big attacks, which brings us into what is the biggest attack in Blox fruits. Some of you might think it's Dragon Fruit or Mammoth Fruit, but it's none of those. There's only really two competitors in this. It's between Quake Dual Tsunami and Rumble's Thunderbolt. First of all, there's Dual Tsunami. There's about 4 waves that are massive. They cover most of the field in Kingdom of Rose. There's 4 Quake waves that spawn in, and they're all pretty big. The winner by far is definitely Rumble's Thunderbolt. Quake might cover a bit more distance, but there's no volume to the attack. I'll spare you the math, but pretty much the ball has more volume since it's more 3D. It doesn't necessarily mean it covers more space than Quake, but it could fit more Blox fruits players inside of it. This brings us to the final category, PvP. Now this part is pretty subjective, so I'm going to be asking other players on what they think. In pretty much all of the lists, Kitsune was at least in the top 3, usually at number 1 place. Portal was also pretty common, but I had a few players that thought Portal wasn't that great. Same with Buddha. Surprisingly, Leo was left out of these conversations, even though many used to consider it one of the best. A few other fruits came up, like Doe and Dragon, of course, but generally everyone just said Kitsune was the best. I mean, it makes sense, it's Blox fruits' biggest gimmick, ultra powerful fruit, so of course it's going to be the best. The most damage, it's the fastest, it has the biggest attacks, it's even good for grinding and PvP. Now that we've seen every category of fruits, what fruit should you use? After looking at every fruit in Bloxsaw, Kitsune is the best fruit, but I wouldn't say you should use it. I'll explain why in a second. If I can guess what fruit I pulled from this dealer, you've got to subscribe. I guess spin. No way! Bloxsaw is a massive game with so many wonderful possibilities and fruits. Make sure to try different types of fruits to see what you truly like about the game. Whether it's a silly fruit like barrier, a combo fruit like ice, or a spammy fruit like leopard. Just have fun with the game.